Hello and welcome to the U.S. Soccer Podcast. My name is David Goss. This is the show where every week we bring you in-depth interviews with players, coaches, and experts and take you inside the U.S. men's and women's national teams at every level. This episode, we have a special interview with USMNT defender Tim Ream. Tim sat down with our co-host Meghan Klingenberg at the U.S. training camp in New Jersey. Kling and Tim talked about everything from his earliest World Cup memories, his hopes and dreams for next year's tournament, and of course, his hair care routine. It's a really special, in-depth interview, and Tim's incredibly candid, so stick around for that. But first, we want to talk about the U.S. versus Japan. I am joined by Kling and Ali Bedoya, and we're recording this right after the game. Guys, how you doing?
Well, besides being up past my bedtime, I'm feeling pretty good about this game, actually. How about you, Ale?
I'm feeling great. I'm happy for the group. You know, it's another 2-0 in Columbus. You know, this is a venue. We got to get this in the World Cup somehow.
It is the home of U.S. soccer. As you said, there's great history in the stadium. There was a great atmosphere as well. And it felt like a very big game for the U.S. men's national team. So, what impressed you most about this performance, Kling?
Truly, I loved the intensity. I felt like watching the game against Republic of Korea. There just wasn't that intensity. There wasn't that bite. There wasn't that mentality that you need to have when you're playing at the highest level. And international soccer, before a World Cup, in your home country, is going to be like the highest level. And if you don't have that mentality, if you're being soft, if you don't have the intensity, then you're never going to be able to get a win in the World Cup because everybody wants it. And so watching this game, you could see that the team had a total 180 on intensity. They came out hard. There wasn't like any like passiveness around the either final or defending third. So I just really appreciated the way that they came out with a different type of mindset this game.
Ale, how about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Kling said. I think, you know, look, they came out on the front foot. It felt like, you know, this new formation, a new change there in the structure of the team, I think really helped with the qualities that we have in the players in camp. You know, having three in the back and kind of wing backs. It helped Christian, you know, and Zendejas, I think, find those half spaces, pockets of space in the middle of the field, or maybe they can even drift a little bit wide, get the ball and come inside and do what a guy like Christian can do best. You know, when he's on the turn and running at players, you saw that assist he had and a couple other moments in the match as well. It was great. You know, I felt the team overall was a lot more proactive in this game compared to the last one in terms of their pressing, the counter pressing, as Kling alluded to, you know, the intensity in the way they did it. I think was very good. You know, I think this team, when they're pressing and they're all together and doing it at the same time, you know, you saw them multiple times being able to win possession in Japan's half and be able to turn it into opportunities, into chances. And I think that's what we need to see more of, you know. It's one thing to want to be playing out of the ball, out of the bag, nicely, but I think we're at our best when we're pressing, when we're forcing teams into turnovers and being able to counter and have fast transitions. And I think you saw that at times today, which was great. And like I said, a clean sheet as well. I think that it's going to give that's a morale boost for the squad that was much needed. Hey, look, I think they can. They did the talking on the field today. Got a great result that's going to give them a confidence, and I think a lot of players stood out today, which was great to see.
Pressing transition moments, spoken like a true union man, Alejandro Bedoya on that one. But you both mentioned the improved result, the improved, of course, performance from the first game to the second game. It came with, it seems like, some change in mentality, but it also came with some big changes in the lineup as well. So we saw a lot of players across the two games. Let's talk about who were the standout players in this window. And I'm going to go first on this one, since I let you two answer the last question. I'm going to start with Alejandro Zendejas. Had the goal, so of course is going to pop off the sheet, but this is a guy who has played in some of the biggest games in the world. You're a starter for Club America. You played for Chivas. He has won 4 Liga MX titles. He has played in front of big crowds and big pressure, and we've been waiting for it at times with the U.S., and I think he's been put in some spots where he's been asked to do a lot. And this was a game with Pulisic in there, with Balogun in there, where he was able to play his role. And you saw him inside of his game, inside of his role, really, really shine in this one. He grew up with a lot of these players playing U17s and residency with Tyler Adams and Christian Pulisic. So it was really cool to see him do his thing in this game. Ale, who stood out to you?
Yeah, I'd have to go with Balogun. I think with this team for the past 8 years, it's always been topic of conversation is who's going to step up and take over this number 9 spot. And I think tonight he showed a lot of the qualities that we're looking for in a number 9. His ability to hold up play, his ability to run in behind and stretch the lines. He got a great goal. It's a great run, great timing. Obviously, a great pass by Pulisic, a great run from him as well. But I think just I loved what I saw from him, even coming in last game against Korean Republic, his ability to move between the lines, get into space, his hold-up play. I thought I was really happy with the partnerships between him and Pulisic. Even last game, they look for each other all the time. The little 1-2s in the box, giving goes. I think he did some fantastic work. And then defensively, I go back to pressing. I'm looking for those pressing cues from the 9. He's the one that sets the triggers, right, in terms of how when he goes, everybody behind him must follow and go through. So I thought I saw a lot of that, him setting the tone as the first line of defense in the half today in this game. And I think he really, really impressed me.
Kling, what about you?
Well, as an outside back, I feel like I have to give credit where credit is due to our goalkeeper, Freeze. Like, I really appreciated seeing him out there these last 2 matches. I feel like in the very first game, there was some passivity in defense, and we weren't bumping guys as they were making runs through lines, and we were just passing them off without actually passing them off. And they got some free chances on goal. Obviously, we didn't win that game, and probably people don't think that's the best showing, but I do think there is something about, okay, we're going to put that result behind us. We're going to show up this next match. We're going to get a clean sheet. I think he had some really great saves today. I feel like there were some pretty good opportunities for the Japanese side that they had some good build-up play. There were some good little switches and getting him behind. And you know what? He handled it brilliantly. And I just feel like he showed that he could be that big-time keeper that we need for the World Cup next year in these last 2 games. And, I mean, that's a pretty good showing.
Man, you got me all built up. I thought you were going to say Max Arfston. Left wing back, gets an assist, helps lead to a shutout. One of your own people. One of ours, of course. He's been on this show in the past around the MLS All-Star Game. One of the many guests we've had on this show. We're going to talk to Tim Ream in a moment. But before we do, for you two, take us behind the scenes now. For a player, as you come out of camp, what is the experience like as it finishes, and how does it sort of sit with you as a player? Kling, let's start with you.
What's really weird about going into national team camp is how fast you have to switch it on and how fast you have to switch it off. So immediately after a national team camp, these players are going back into their club environment. And so they need to basically switch off USA and be able to get back into Portland Thorns, Philly Union, whatever club you're on. And it's difficult because, especially if it's not a win, if it's a loss or a tie or a game where you feel like you should have played better, it's hard to be able to get back into that mindset and switch over into club. And once you get a little time in club, once you have a day off, I feel like I personally would go back and watch the games, study what happened, study who I was linking up with well, who I needed to be able to bring into the picture more, how I was communicating, how the outside backs were moving, how the back line was working together. It's just about that evaluation, and it's hard to find the time to do that because it's hard to have 2 hats, and these players have to do that and do it remarkably well, or they won't be on the national team. So it's an interesting moment to be able to finish a camp and then go back into your club environment, but it's something that they're used to, and I just feel like you can't just write off the last game. You can't just be like, oh, we won, now we're going to just go into... You have to be able to switch it, but then also be able to find time to go back and learn from it.
Ale, you were in this situation, 2014, going into the World Cup. You're playing friendlies But we've heard Mauricio Pochettino talk about process. Like, it's all about 2026. It's not about beating Japan in September. So now, as a player, when you go back to your club, as Kling talked about, how do you sort of continue the process going forward while not currently being in camp as a player?
Yeah, I see. Like what happens next in a player's life. I think I'll be quite frankly honest with you. Right now, the guys won a game, so they're probably looking out for the pictures for the next Instagram post, social media post. But as soon as they get back to their club level, it's focused on club. But in between that, we have a camp next month, 1 month away, really. Like King mentioned, you're going to want to watch some of the footage and some of the game and playback. And, we have the TV feed that we saw, but that only shows so much, right? So they have access to I guess we could say the tactical cam, right? An overview view where you can see more of the whole field, the whole game, and you can see, where your positioning was. You can see, maybe the passes that you missed or the things that you didn't see during the game that were easily Monday morning quarterbacking, if you will. And take a look back and look into that. And there's going to be group chats happening, whatever communication tools that they may use. They're going to be communicating with, I know during my time, we communicated with some of the assistant coaches, perhaps, positional coaches, just to get some feedback from them, maybe what they were looking for the next. Like you said, it's a process. Pochettino is looking to see certain things from certain players. So it's, okay, can you continue to maybe work on this and your club team? Some guys have different roles with their club teams, but if they can maybe improve this or that in the training sessions or something to look out for the next camp when they get invited. I think it's always about personal development and getting better at certain things. We trotted out a whole different formation today than we did last game. So it's you're always learning as a player, right? No matter how professional you are, how many caps you got, how many, how big of a star you are at whatever club team, you're always trying to get better and improve in certain areas, in certain aspects of the game, and however Pochettino wants you to play, whatever formation it might be, right? So, from Pochettino, you've heard him speak about a lot about the non-negotiables, the principles. I think he was able to get some of that from some of the players in this camp, which is very helpful. And we'll see. I think he mentioned something about like next camp is going to be more of his core group. So I'm really interested to see, which one of these players here that were kind of maybe newer faces maybe gets another shot.
Well, that game is, as you said, camp coming up in October at Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. And someone we expect to be a part of that is our interview subject for today, the captain of the winning team against Japan 2-0. That was, of course, USMNT defender Tim Ream. Let's go to our feature interview with him right now.
So right now we are in a build-up to the World Cup next year, and we'll get to that. But first, I wanted to ask you, what is your earliest memory of the World Cup? Like, were you a kid watching TV with your family? Like, what comes to mind?
I have a couple, actually. I remember the '94 World Cup. That's how old I am.
Same age.
7 years old at the time. So yeah, I remember watching that. Not as vividly. I remember the World Cup in Korea, waking up at ungodly hours to watch games. Funny enough, like the other big memory that I have of the World Cup is the Women's World Cup and being at, this may sound really bad for the people I was with, but being at a bar in between a basketball tournament, in between games at a basketball tournament, at a bar watching the final and Brandy Chastain scoring the winning penalty. So like, I have a lot of different types of memories, but the earliest one is definitely the '94 World Cup.
That's amazing because, like, similarly, I was watching the '99 Women's World Cup as well, and I know this is an interview about you, but we were watching it with my best friend, and we were supposed to go to an NSYNC concert that night, and for like 9-10-year-old girls, this is like the coolest thing around, and she kept being like, are we gonna go? And we're like, stop it, like, we'll get there. And so we watched the whole thing and then ended up still making the NSYNC concert. They
Perfect.
Swung in and we had a great time, but it's so fun talking about the childhood aspect of it, because as these athletes who are now in their 30s looking back, when you look back and when you were that little, did you have any idea, like, were you like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make that World Cup roster someday?
No, I mean, it's always a dream. Like, you dream as a kid, right? And you want to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. But you also want to play and just play because you love to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was always, you know, at 7, 8, 9, oh, like, it'd be great. And you're in the backyard and you're playing what we called at the time was World Cup, and you're crossing a ball in from a corner, and it's like the last kick of the game, and you're in your backyard and trying to finish the play off. And but I don't know that there was any time that I was like, oh, I want to make a World Cup, or I want to play for the U.S. It was, I just want to play. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play as much as I possibly can. I want to be a professional soccer player. And then once that, I think it's kind of like that natural progression. Once you start to get closer to the professional side, then you're like, well, there's another step here that you can try to take. So, yeah, I don't think I dreamed that big of being on a World Cup team, but it definitely, as I got older, was something that was always on my mind.
Love that. And now moving forward a little bit, you've participated in one World Cup already, and if selected, I was wondering, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I was wondering, are you going to approach it with the same mindset, or now with more experience, being a more veteran player, do you have a different perspective?
That's a great question. I guess it depends on your role, really, within the group, and that is constantly changing. And as you know, the roles and whether you're starting, whether you're the first person off the bench, whether you're whether you're the player in the corner who's bringing everybody their orange slices and giving them the pep talks. Yeah. It all changes. I mean, as of right now, I would approach it the same way I approached the first one. Is that it's not my first one, but it is my last one. So the last one I thought was my first and my last. And so now, yeah, it's such a blur, that first one, where you're just in it and you're fully focused on, okay, you're playing, you're recovering, you're doing a little bit of training, you're playing again, and it's just this constant. Thankfully for us, we were in one location, we were in one hotel, we were back and forth. It was 45 minutes depending on what stadium we were playing in, which was nice. But the travel aspect wasn't there. That will definitely be something for this coming World Cup. But I think I'll appreciate it more in the moment, being at my second one, if I get there, than I did in the moment being at the first, because, like I said, it was such a blur. But I appreciate, and you get flashbacks of the first.
Totally.
If you would know what I mean. You think and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, that was an amazing experience. So I think taking in more would be my different approach. But yeah, right now it's like head down, just getting after it and trying to do everything you possibly can to get there, and then you can figure it out from there.
That was definitely one of the best parts about getting older in the sport, was being able to appreciate everything a bit more. So fingers crossed, making that World Cup squad, going into it with new perspective. I love it. Yeah. And I guess, what would it mean to you, but also to the team, to play in a World Cup on home soil?
I mean, for me, we go back to earliest memories. My earliest memory is 94, which we hosted. And now my last involvement potentially would be one that we get to host.
Poetic,
full circle. Crazy how that has kind of worked out. But for me, it's the same every time I get that email and that phone call. It's like, it means something to me. And it's going to be the biggest World Cup ever, and it's on our home soil, and I think we all understand and grasp how major it really is. And I think that's important for all of us, not just the older players who understand perspective and get it. It's, more than likely, none of the guys who are going to be on that squad next year will experience another home World Cup.
No, definitely not.
They really won't. And so I think for us, it's, I think we realize the gravity of how big it is. And it's just about embracing it. You can't worry about whether, there's more pressure, there's less pressure, who you're playing against, what you're doing. It's just about embracing the each and every game and each and every moment. And I'm excited for it. Hopefully, again, we keep doing this fingers crossed thing, but, continuing on the way I have been, I would, without a doubt, it would be the most exciting moment in my career and the culmination of, it'll be 17 hard years professionally, and then everything before that, all coming to the top.
Well, just so you know, I'm excited too. I'm excited to be a fan of this World Cup. I've never gotten to be a fan of the World Cup before. When we were playing in Canada, it felt like a home tournament because so many of our fans,
of course,
made the trip up and were rooting for us. So I can just imagine what it's going to feel like for you guys. So I'm really excited for you.
It should be good.
It'll be really good.
Really good.
And don't worry, I'll be there.
Perfect.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about the American way, and especially in terms of this young squad and the squad going into the World Cup. And as a player who has played abroad for a long time, what exactly is this American way, and how has it changed over the years?
For me, the way I understand it and the way I've always kind of approached it is that you're going to get an honest, hardworking type of player, no matter if they're technically skilled, they're not technically skilled, they're good on the ball, they're average on the ball, whether they're tactically astute or they aren't. It's this idea of you're going to work. And you're going to work, and you're going to work, and you're just going to keep working, and you're going to keep going, you're going to keep going, and the effort is always going to be there. It's the bare minimum. It's something that has always been the basic intangibles of what has made the players moving over, especially, successful. You look at guys like Tim Howard, at Clint Dempsey, these guys, Brian McBride, they've all worked to get to where they are, and I think that is something that everybody can relate to, and I think that is when you boil it down, that's what it is. That's what it means to be an American player, and it has evolved. We have a lot more technical players. We have a lot more guys who can fit different systems and play in different systems, and I think that's just the evolution of the game itself. I think if you look around every country, they would probably say, the game has evolved, and now we have lots of players who can play a lot of different positions, and there's so much versatility. But I think when you boil it down, it's still the bare minimum that you have to have. You have to have that work ethic and that desire to go, and if something happens, you have to go again, and you have to go again. You just keep going, really until the wheels fall off. And
it's a non-negotiable.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It really is, and if you can do that, you can create a really long, successful career for yourself.
I love that, and I feel like it speaks to this next kind of quote that you had that I really enjoyed, by the way, where you said, "Our squad needs to prove that we're not pushovers." And I just love that, because I want to know, what does that mean to you? And what kind of toughness do you expect from this group?
Yeah, I think, listen, it's not a secret. There's the last couple of years have not been where we've wanted to be, in terms of play, in terms of results, in terms of a lot of things. And the togetherness that was once a hallmark of all the U.S. teams kind of waned a little bit, and I don't think there's no reason to shy away from that. It's been discussed at length, and I think we really this last Gold Cup, we really kind of brought that back into the fold, And people can say, oh, well, so-and-so wasn't here, and this group of guys, and yeah, but it was this group and not the main group. And it doesn't matter. You have to start somewhere. And it was just rebuilding that feeling of togetherness, that feeling of connection, that, you know, whatever happens, that we're going to have each other's back. And again, that's one of those non-negotiables. You have to have that connection and have each other's back in order to be successful and continue to show other teams and other countries that we're not going to be pushed around. It's not going to happen anymore, and we need to get back to that fighting spirit that was once was once the thing that just defined what the U.S. soccer was.
Mm-hmm. The spirit.
The spirit.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
I don't know if you know this, but we're actually the same age.
Okay.
And I just recently retired.
Yes.
And
so I knew that part. I didn't know we were the same age. So
yeah. So we are the same age. Just recently retired, and like playing is just so different than my normal day-to-day now. There's just like not that competitive fire anymore, which is okay with me. I'm like good about not being stressed. But I wanted to know, for you, you're still playing. You've had a long career playing at a high level. How do you keep that fire burning, and like physically, but more mentally, like what keeps you going?
You know, there's a few things. One of the things is physically, I've just always been so focused on taking care of my body, and that's been one of the things that I've been able to start from a young age and continue on. And I learned from a young age, and I say younger, early professional, that if you take care of yourself early, you're going to benefit in the long run and continue and be able to continue to play late. It also helped that I didn't start until after college, where a lot of guys are starting at 17, 18 years old now,
right.
And they're burned completely out by early 30s. And I get it. I understand it. So that's one on the physical side. The other side is, and it's funny because we play a team sport, right? But I just kind of dabbled into listening to Novak Djokovic, and it's the same with Michael Jordan, where they create these little, almost like slights in their own mind, and people are talking bad about them, or they pick somebody out in a crowd, and they're like, oh, like this guy doesn't think I can do it, and so that's the other part for me is that I'm a little bit, I won't say sick, but if someone tells me that I can't do something, yeah, you're
It's
finished.
the Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I took that personal.
Yeah, I do, and you know, why can't I do something? Because I'm 37? Good one. What are you doing?
Totally.
Right? So I think, you know, I've taken the approach of my age doesn't matter. I don't care about my age. It's like, yes, at some point I will have to stop. I get that. But I also think taking care of myself, like mentally, being able to know when to switch on, when to switch off, what's good for me away from the field and what isn't in terms of my, you know, switching off and my mental load. I leave the game at the training ground. I leave the game at the field. And my home life is my home life. I completely focus on that, and that has allowed me to separate the two things, and it's kept me less anxious and less stressed.
This is what you call healthy compartmentalization.
Yes, compartmentalization, but also like separation of you know, the two. It's not two different lives, because my kids are, you know, they love watching dad, and that's the final piece, is that I want to show my kids that you can do anything you want. Mm-hmm. You can prove people wrong all you want. You can continue to do whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do it. And only you are going to be the one that stops you from doing that.
I'm glad you mentioned your kids, because I wanted to ask about vulnerability in sport. Mm-hmm. And you lead on this team, on Charlotte. I mean, you have to step into that role and lead. And I don't think vulnerability is really talked about in sports, especially men's sports.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that you have to be vulnerable to lead well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, like, what does vulnerability mean to you? How do you define it? And what does it look like in your role as a leader?
Yeah, I think there's one big thing with vulnerability, and it's you can ball it up and compartmentalize it, another aspect of that, and let it eat you up inside. You can think about it and constantly go over it and over it and over it, and all of a sudden it's on top of you. For me, it's so much easier to address an issue like right then and there with anybody, whether it's with the team, whether it's in the media. If I make a mistake, I've made a mistake. They want to ask me about it after the game. No problem. I'll sit there and not explain it away, but I'll explain my thought process in the moment. I have no problem with holding my hand up and saying, yeah, you know what, we weren't good enough today. Starts with me, and that's okay. But it's no different for the coaches. They have to, they're the front of everything, and a lot of the good ones will tell you, you make mistakes, I'll hold my hand up because I'm asking you to do those things. And for me, you become an extension of whatever manager you're playing for, and it's not a problem to be vulnerable. It doesn't change who you are, or it doesn't diminish who you are as a person. It doesn't make you more macho or less macho. It's just it allows you to show people that you're human, and we're all vulnerable, and we all can be vulnerable, and it's okay to share things and open up and let guys open up to you. And I think it goes back to that connection. You can create so much and so many better connections with guys by just being open and honest, than hiding behind, this conversation or that guy said this or this guy said this. It's the open and honest conversation and connection creates that bond and forms that togetherness.
Yeah, it seems to me that trust is built by showing parts of yourself to other people, and you're not able to create an environment where you can tell guys, hey, that's not good enough, unless you've earned their trust and respect. And it seems like you're doing that. Has being a dad changed your perspective on vulnerability? Has being a husband changed your perspective on vulnerability? And what do you hope your kids take away from seeing you lead with that type of vulnerability?
Yeah, I mean, there's this thing that I tell to all the new dads who step into that role. It's like you have a life and a way of doing things before you have kids, and then you have kids and it completely changes. You're no longer, yes, we are selfish beings because I'm here and my kids are, hundreds of miles away at home with mom. And so, yes, we're selfish in a way that, okay, I'm traveling a lot, I'm playing a sport, I have to take care of myself, but at the same time, you have these kids where you have to not be so selfish, and you have to show them the way, really, and you're teaching them, and hopefully being a really good example for them. And it does. I've said in the past probably the past 2 years, being around this group, and it's being around them since 2018, 2019. It's like watching my kids. Like you watch them and you speak to them, and you're kind of having the same conversations that you're having with your 11 and your 9-year-old and your 6-year-old, but then at the same time it's like they're a little bit more grown up, but then they start to really grow up, and it teaches you how to just be, right, and be the person that they need.
It seems like you're learning a lot from your kids and from the younger players as well.
Yes. I mean, I tell them all the time, they're like, well, how are you still doing it? I said, because I love coming in here with you guys. I love coming in, listening to the conversations, being a part of the conversations, hearing what's going on in their lives, hearing what they're doing, hearing the milestones that they're hitting, guys having kids and seeing them grow up. And and become fathers themselves. It's fulfilling for sure, and it's definitely an enjoyable part of being here and being with this group. And but you learn that because of your own kids. You learn that because you have to be a good example for them, because you want them to be good humans. I don't care about the sports. Like, everybody is like, oh, is your kid going to play this? And you're gonna. No, I don't care. I want them to be
Right.
good people.
Yeah.
Be good people first, and then if they want to do sports and they want to be good at sports, fine, no problem. And I think that's, for me, that's the coolest thing is watching my kids grow up, but then also watching these guys grow up and become fathers and reach goals and milestones that they've set for themselves. And it kind of marries together in that way.
In a lot of ways, I think that sport is just so much bigger.
Yeah. But it isn't. It's bigger, but it's smaller.
True. Like,
It's
it
crazy.
shows, how do I put this? It shows exactly where society is at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then it can also stand for so much hope.
Yeah.
And so, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to ask about when the women's national team was going through the equal pay settlement with the U.S. Soccer Federation. And for me, that was one of the most proud moments of my career. And I know it is for a lot of the other women who were in that fight as well. You happen to be an advocate, helping the women's national team in that situation. Why was it so important for you to be an ally in that moment?
There are a few things. Obviously, I wasn't the only one. I was one of them. I know Walker took a big role in that as well. So he deserves a lot of credit for that. But I think at the end of the day, we're all doing the same things. We're all trying to be the absolute best that we can be. We're trying to reach a level that everybody else wants to and can't. And so the women are doing their thing and we're doing our thing, and there's so much synergy and connection in those two programs. And then the more I thought about it, was I had a daughter, and I'm like, well, if my daughter was in that situation, whoever was on the other side of the aisle, I would want them to be fighting for them and with them as well. Why wouldn't that be the case? Mm-hmm. And so it was okay. Let's get together on this. Let's make sure that we're all aligned, because you guys deserved everything that you were getting and then some. And it was up to us to help in that situation. And we thought this is the right thing to do. Why wouldn't we? I think it's just human that we share, because we're both doing high level work, and we deserve to have that togetherness and that level of connection and level of pay together.
A rising tide lifts all ships?
Yeah, I mean, what you were doing and the women's team were doing was obviously going to help us, and what we were doing was obviously going to help the women, and what we were both doing was obviously going to help U.S. soccer. So it just felt, in a way, it wasn't simple, but it felt like a simple thing. Now, obviously, negotiations are never simple, as we know.
Simple but not easy.
Simple but not easy. Yes.
Yeah.
And for us, it was a simple decision to advocate and be with you guys on that, and it worked out exactly, I think, is exactly the way everybody wanted it to.
It felt like there was like this scarcity mindset at the beginning of that, and then people had to work through it and got to a place where it's like, oh, actually this isn't a scarcity situation. Like, all of us are able to participate in this and make it better. Yeah. And so that was a really cool moment, I felt like, when the two teams kind of came together, where we haven't really been together before.
Well, that was the funny thing to me, was that, yes, because I'd always asked, I was like, why do we not do anything.
Truly.
Like truly, really, there was nothing that we did together away from the field, on the field, like anywhere. We were never in the same places. We were never connecting in any way. To the point where people were actually starting to like pit one side against the other side, and we're like, we were sitting here like, what? Like, why? Well,
I know.
It
We
doesn't
were
make
like
any
that
sense.
too.
It made no sense. So, yeah, like I had so many conversations with, you know, our side, PA and all that, and the U.S. soccer side, and I actually questioned why is there no synergy and connection away from the field? Why do we do nothing as a federation to get the men's and the women's team together for anything, for charitable stuff, for just fun, for any of it, and that extends to all the extended national teams as well. There's almost nothing that we do, and you know, for us it was okay. Let's move this along, because I think if we can get together on this issue, then we can move forward and potentially do things like that.
Okay, last kind of deeper question. Do you ever think about the end of your career and what's life gonna be like on the other side? Not to push you towards that moment, because I know what it feels like when people are like, when are you gonna retire? When are you gonna do that? But I recently retired and I had such a hard time letting go. And in my last couple of months, I was just so flustered. And I hadn't been like that for much of my career. And I was just wondering, what are your feelings around this issue?
I mean, I have a little bit of, not quite like a plan, because there's no point in having a plan at this point. So I have things that like I think I want to do and maybe will do, but I'm not so focused on it, because I'm so like tunnel vision with this World Cup that it's almost like I want to get to the World Cup, and then when that ends, I have a bit of a runway still to kind of figure that out. So we'll see. I'm not really. Yeah, I'm not. I'm still getting that, by the way, of people like, oh, when are you going to retire? When
I'm
are you
sure
retire?
you
I'm
are.
like, I'm still like going away. I'm still playing with the national team. Like, come on.
I
Like,
never got it, because people would be like, oh, your age. And I'm like, okay, but I know 25-year-olds whose ankles are held together by duct tape and dreams.
Yes.
And I'm doing great.
Yes.
So I totally hear you on this.
Totally. Good. So I'm glad you understand. But yeah, I haven't, I've given it a little bit of thought. I have. But it's not something that I've really put at the forefront of my mind, because at the forefront is something way bigger than any of that. And I don't know that I will struggle with leaving it behind, because of what is actually right there at the end, and that is a World Cup and then a few months of playing after that. And I think that's probably one of the coolest maybe parts or aspects of how my career is kind of coming to that end. Is that
not many athletes get to do something like this, which is pretty cool.
That's why I'm like so focused on getting there, because I think that would be the coolest way for me to just say, all right, that's it. I've done what I wanted to do. I've made one. I made two at home, and that is the biggest one ever. And here we are. So that's kind of where my focus is. But I will say it again, I have thought a little bit about the after soccer.
Fair. Stay in the moment, though.
Yes.
Like, enjoy every single second. Soak it up. Can't wait to watch you. Fingers crossed, but can't wait to watch you. And okay, lastly, gotta know about the hair.
Yeah.
I mean, I date my partner. She has been on YouTube for a really long time. She gives product recommendations, and she was looking you up, and she's like, oh my God, look at that hair. What is he doing with it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, if the premier beauty influencer is talking about your hair, then I have to ask about it. Tips, tricks, routine, what's the deal?
Honestly, do you really want to know?
I want to know everything.
It's going to be such a typical guy answer as well. I have a very normal shampoo, conditioner, and that's it. I don't do anything. People always ask me, because if I do put it down, which I'm not going to put it down, I have these blonde streaks that come and frame my face. And then a lot of people actually ask me, do you get it highlighted, but B, the rest of it, does it get touched? And I was like, no, it is natural. It is very natural. And they're like, people pay a lot of money to have hair that color. And 100%. I was like, and there I am, just shampoo and conditioner, and off I go.
Oh, must be nice. I love this for you.
Sorry if everybody was looking for something more.
No, honestly, some people are just blessed.
I know. I'm lucky. I am.
Anyways, thank you so much for being here. This has been such a joy to talk to you, and good luck this weekend and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been very enjoyable.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? And O'Reilly Auto Parts is right around the corner. O'Reilly Auto Parts can help take the guesswork out of your vehicle's check engine, ABS, or maintenance light with O'Reilly Veriscan, a free service that only takes a couple of minutes to complete. You'll receive a free, easy-to-read report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans that have been verified by ASE-certified master technicians. O'Reilly Veriscan can identify the most likely problem with just one scan. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can then recommend the parts and tools that you need to do the repair right the first time. And if you're not comfortable doing the repair yourself, they can recommend a local shop for you. Don't ignore check engine, ABS, or maintenance light. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today, a free service exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. This October, it's go time for the U.S. men's national team. On October 10th in Austin, they face World Cup qualified Ecuador at Q2 Stadium, where they have never lost. 6 wins, 0 losses, and ready to make it 7. It's U.S. pride and the beautiful game live in the heart of Texas with a special celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Don't miss your shot to experience it all in person. Go to ussoccer.com/tickets to get yours. So, Kling, that Tim Ream interview was really great. What was your biggest takeaway from meeting Tim and talking through his career?
Thanks, Gus. It was really fun. I feel like Tim was so open and thoughtful with his answers. I really appreciated how it didn't feel like a journalist sort of feel. Like it felt like he really sat with it. It felt like it was a fireside chat, if you will. We just had a lot of fun recording it, and I truly appreciated how open Tim was to allowing somebody to come into their space when they're in camp and they're focused on doing something, preparing for the World Cup, winning these games, making the team, doing all of those things, and having somebody come in the middle of that can be distracting, but he gave it his 100% attention and focus, and I really appreciated how much thoughtfulness he put into it.
Tim Ream's been around for a little while. Ale, you've also been around for a little while. You have played with Tim Ream. What's it like playing with him?
Yeah, no, look, Tim Ream, like as Kling alluded to, he's first and foremost, he's a great player, yes, but he's an even better person, I think. Playing with him, when he came on the scene, you knew right away that this was a center back who was, kind of a modern day center back, guy who's very calm in possession, comfortable on the ball. Never really stressed out with the ball. Even today, it's such a, he's my age, so I don't consider him old. But the way he's able to be calm and cut the ball inside at times to give him a new angle, and Japanese players couldn't really defend that and get out of tough spots. He's just class, His attitude is great. He's got a great mentality, and that's obviously why he's got the captain's armband. But he's just got so much quality around him. He's got a great passing game, excellent passer, obviously, and tactically astute. Really, he's so smart. And like I said, he's not the fastest guy perhaps back there, but you don't have to be the fastest guy if you're positionally in a great spot, right? So, yeah, he's had a fantastic career. So very happy for him, and it's just great to see him still, getting meaningful minutes with the national team.
Huge part of the national team. And once again, thank you to Tim for taking the time to sit down with Kling for our show. Let's finish up with one of our favorite parts of the show. Ask the Pros, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is where you can ask a question for me, Kling, or for Ale. Normally it's for the World Cup veterans. And we'll get back to you for an answer on the show. Let's start with you, Kling, with Mike in New York. How has your definition of success changed from your early playing days to now?
Big question. I mean, I think this could actually be an entire podcast episode with veterans. Like me and Ali could probably make a whole episode about this. But
let's pull Tim back in.
We'll pull Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, come on, tell us. But I think what's interesting is at the beginning of my career, I equated success with winning, with beating the person one-on-one who I was matched up against, with doing well. And so I equated my worth with, that success. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that I get to choose what success is, and it's not about outcomes. It's about the process for me. So now I'm fully invested in the journey, and to me, that's what the most important thing is. And if I'm enjoying the journey, if I'm getting better, if I'm learning and creating a good atmosphere for people to be around and be a part of something bigger than themselves, then to me, that's what success is now.
Kling, the atmosphere here is great. So thank you for carrying that into our podcast. Let's go to our last question from Chris in Chicago for Alejandro. What do you think makes a great locker room culture, and how do you help foster that as a veteran player?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, I think it's about giving respect, showing respect, and also earning that respect. So, as a leader, how are you making sure that the group understands what the standards are, the club or the national team's values, what the expectations are and what they should be, upholding them. And then leading by example too. I think you want to make sure you lead by example both on and off the field. You might not be the most vocal guy, but lead by example. Put in the hard work. Make sure everybody understands what's going on, and you start creating a certain culture of what it takes to win. Winning becomes a habit. And then the other facet for me that's very important is being personable. I think that's helped me throughout my career. I'm a guy that I feel like, loves the banter. When it's between the white lines, it's all business. But outside, it's all about banter and loosening up a little bit, understanding each other. Obviously at club level or even with the national team, you have guys from all over the place that, maybe are German Americans, Dutch Americans, Mexican Americans, that come from different cultures. So how do you bring those people all together to feel as one, right? And that's something special. And I think being personable, you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but understanding every person and maximizing what you can get out of the group is how you build that locker room culture and you get those positive vibes going and everybody's on the same page.
Well, we like to have fun here, but we don't take it light. These were two very well-asked questions from Chris and Mike. And if you want to be the next one, you can ask the pros as well. Drop our partners at Westwood One a DM on Instagram at Westwood One Sports, and we will ask the questions for Kling and Ale next time. A quick reminder, the U.S. women's national team announces their opponents and match locations for their final games of 2025 next week. So stay tuned for those. And of course, we will have all your coverage and behind the scenes action here on the U.S. Soccer Podcast. So don't forget to follow us so you never miss an episode.